Good afternoon, Natural Beauties. It is me, your girl T of BeUTee Bath and Body. And today we're going to have a special guest for our Lunch and Learn. We're going to be going live with the Women's Resource Center to End Domestic Violence. So let me go ahead. I see she's already in our chat. So we're going to go ahead and request that Kim would join us. We're going to get this thing started. Super excited. So while we're waiting for that to connect, let me just tell you a little bit about what we have going on today. We are wrapping up our our buy one, give one soap drive in regards to our Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So we have with us today Kim from the Women's Resource Center, who is going to be the recipient of our donation. So we're waiting for Kim. I requested Kim. I don't know if you can see the request. We're just going to wait until she chimes in. But in the meantime, let me tell you, I'll actually show you what I've been working on last night. I've been packing up all of our bars. I still have some more to go, but they're here. And I remember I was telling you all before, I'm doing a special packaging of those soaps. So I'll show you that. It's going to be, this is our Let's Be Clear soap. And so what we're going to do with that is we actually have our nice, I don't know if you can see, but our adjectives. We have like amazing, confident, what else? Focused. So I just have some positive words on there just to kind of uplift the spirits of everyone in the center. So I'll see if Kim's able to join. If not, we'll continue on. I'll try and request her again. Kim, it says you're unable to join. I'll send the request again. We'll see. Oh, there we go. Hey, Kim. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. So as I was just telling everyone, we're wrapping up our Domestic Violence Awareness Month Buy One, Give One soap campaign that we had going on. And I was just showing everyone, the work that I was doing last night to pack up all the bars of soap that they donated. So I wanted to just have someone from the Women's Resource Center to End Domestic Violence on with me just to give some information about your center and all the great things that you're doing, just so they can see where their donations are going. So thank you so much for joining me today, Kim.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. Appreciate it.
All right. So if you would just tell us a little bit about about the Women's Resource Center and about your role within the center.
Okay. The Women's Resource Center to End Domestic Violence has been around since 1989. And we keep growing in terms of the ways we can serve people that are affected by domestic violence. So today we have a 32-bed safe house, and we call it a safe house instead of a shelter because shelter is a word that seems a little scary and intimidating to some people who might need a safe place to go. So we call it a safe house, and women realize very quickly that it's a beautiful space where they have their own room with their child or children. There's a television, there's a garden, there's a playground and a big kitchen with Miss Jackie cooking delicious food. So we like to make sure that people feel like they're in a place where they are respected.
Sure.
And where they have an opportunity to just rest and heal. And yes, some people need to hide from an abusive person. So we help with safety planning. We help with all the steps that people need to take to move forward into a life where they can have peace and stability. So the Safe House program is very active. And we have a wonderful program for our children too that focuses on peace and developing peace inside and helping children to understand their difficult emotions and feel loved and protected and supported as they now do their virtual school and as they live their lives away from the home that they knew in this new space. So we find it to be really healing and amazing for children as well. And we have a community-based office that still operates remotely, helping people with protective orders and arrest warrants. We also are having a financial program where people who are affected by COVID and have lost wages, we're helping them keep their houses and pay their rent and doing a lot around that. And we also have, ongoing volunteers helping us remotely with a variety of things. And we have a visitation center, supervised visitation and exchange of children for families affected by domestic violence called Nia's Place. Those are our primary programs right now, our Safe House program, our children, our legal program, our visitation center, our outreach, our support groups. They happen virtually twice a week with trained facilitators, so women can come on and get help and support and connection with other people experiencing similar things.
That is amazing. I actually didn't realize you all did so much. That is absolutely amazing. I'm not sure, you probably don't remember, but I actually met with you back in 2019, in March of 2019, with regards to some volunteer opportunities. And that kind of kicked off a whole chain of events. Just coming in to sit down and talk with you kind of kicked off a whole chain of events in my life, and really kind of kicked off my BeUTee Bath and Body company. So the bars of soap that I actually do produce were specifically designed with with the center in mind, with the safe house in mind. Like, I wanted to bring a smile to the faces of everyone in a time of transition. So it's phenomenal to hear all the wonderful things that you all are doing in the community. Now, if you wouldn't mind, just let me just speak a little bit about the demographic and the statistics in the Metro Atlanta area, because I'm really interested in, keeping everything local and just hearing what's going on here at the moment.
Sure, sure. Before I talk about that, I do want to say that your contribution, those kinds of things are huge and very important to the people who reside at our safe house. To know that someone out there is thinking about them and wanting to do something kind. It's really important for people to remember that there's beauty in the world.
Yes.
Even when it's dark in many areas, when you look around your life, there's still kindness and people who care and who want to be there to just share love. And so thank you.
Thank you so much, Kim. That means so much. Thank you. Thank you.
So domestic violence in the Metro Atlanta area. Well, first of all, there's lots of intersections between domestic violence and poverty, sometimes domestic violence and addiction, domestic violence and mental illness and homelessness. These things intersect in painful ways. The people that reach out to us are really a lot of the time people on the margins, people who don't have that family member they can borrow $20 from until payday, people who just don't have anyone that loves them. I had a very kind of poignant moment a while ago where a young woman in her 20s, as I was exploring options with her about what she might do and where she might go, our safe house was full at the moment. And she said to me, she was a 21-year-old, she said, I grew up in foster care and nobody loves me. And I'm like, oh my God, so just understanding that there's a lot of people that don't have some of the gifts and privileges and blessings of life that we take for granted.
Yes.
And so Women's Resource Center does try to step up to be that family of sorts, that extended family, and that, not only borrow $20, but pay the rent for a little while and just be there to help people get clear-minded. And we have lots of, conversations with people, support groups, etc. So people can begin to feel that they can do this, that they're not alone in this struggle.
Yes.
Domestic violence affects between 1 in 3 and 1 in 5 women in our state, and probably about 1 in 9, between 1 in 7 and 1 in 9 men. But remember too, we're called the Women's Resource Center to End Domestic Violence because we understand fully that while anyone can experience domestic violence, it is primarily women and their children that suffer the most serious effects of that violence. And, women often will have to leave in a hurry with their children and precious little else to stay someplace safe for a while because they're terrified. So we acknowledge and try to serve anyone dealing with domestic violence, but we know that our primary focus has to be on supporting, serving, helping, protecting, and walking with women who are experiencing these really, really difficult and sometimes lethal experiences, circumstances. We just had our domestic violence Candlelight Vigil, which we hold each October. And we read, I think it was 117 names of people, women and children primarily, some men, people who died in the state of Georgia just between 1 October and the next. And that's a lot of lives lost. And we read the women's names, the children's names, and the names of the men. Sometimes there is a man who loses his life due to domestic violence because the woman does have the power and control and misuses that in the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we count the men too that take their own lives after hurting it or killing their families. So, or sometimes there's an older son or grandfather in the space when the terrible events happen. So a lot of people in domestic violence are affected by domestic violence in our state each year. And so we have to continue to talk to people in the community about really becoming part of the solution. It's like, what can you do to lend a hand? What can you do to help to end this nightmare for people?
Sure, sure. And again, that's phenomenal. Some of my supporters of our company know that my story is I actually witnessed a domestic violence event when I was 2 years old. And a lot of people don't realize, that you have memories from that time of life. And that was kind of like the first memory I've had, I had in this journey. And it wasn't until actually I came and sat down with you that I realized how much it had affected my entire life. So again, what you're doing is phenomenal, especially, well, for me, the importance of addressing children, and their needs and their, just kind of coming to their aid during that time, because a lot of people do forget that they are affected by it as well. So again, that is absolutely amazing. I thank you for all that you're doing.
Sure. So I want to say too, because sometimes women, I know if there's women on this call, there's women who are affected by domestic violence on this call. There's women who have children in their homes right now. And it's so important to recognize that you're not a bad mother because you're dealing with domestic violence, and you're not a bad person. You're not a weak person. You are someone who partnered with a person who uses abuse and control inappropriately to keep someone afraid, to keep someone walking on eggshells. It's really important to know that children can be okay as long as they have, not only can be, they will be okay as long as they have one adult in their lives who can teach them how to be a person, who can look them squarely in the eye and say, you are loved. What you saw is not okay. People can treat one another with kindness and love. People make mistakes, but this is what needs to happen next, and show little children how to be people who move through the world with kindness and love and appropriate behavior in terms of interacting with others. Teach what healthy friendships and healthy relationships look like, and start it very early. Teach what consent is. Teach what your personal responsibility is around controlling yourself and not trying to control someone else.
Very informative. Thank you so much, Kim. I never even considered, things like that. It's extremely helpful. So during this pandemic, we've all been affected by COVID-19 pandemic. Could you just explain to us a little bit about how it's affected the center as well as those that you serve?
Sure. I'll start with those that we serve. COVID-19 and the virus, this pandemic, it exacerbates the problems that people dealing with domestic violence experience. Trying to enter a support group where at one point you might have been able to say, I'm going to go to my book club or choir practice, or I'm going to go visit my girlfriend, my mom, whatever. And you can go then to, come to a physical space, to a support group. Now with support groups being remote and on Zoom, we have to be very careful, because sometimes the person that might be abusive is also in the home, and it gets very complicated. And we have people participating in support groups from their cars and trying really hard to connect with people who might be helpful without being discovered by the person who will hurt them because they're participating in a group. So that's one of the complications. And then financial strain with people losing jobs and people not able to go to work or have to stay home because they have children who are in school and no one to care for them or help them with school. So these problems, like they affect anyone, affect someone dealing with domestic violence even more so, because the home becomes more stressful and more volatile, and people are more frustrated and maybe lashing out with that frustration. But we're here helping. We still have a safe house with people who are safe, thank goodness.
Yes.
We still have our children's program that's operating. We have several families in transitional programs, and we're really helping move people, families, not only out of domestic violence, but out of poverty, which is an incredible, wonderful thing that we're able to do. And we're also, you know, I guess just working here somewhat from our community-based office, but we're not really having people come in right now. We're really protecting our staff and anyone who might come here so that we're not going to be part of the spread of the virus. But we're certainly available on our phones and through our computers, and we try really hard to be available. Our 24/7 crisis line is still being answered 24/7. And it's crisis, but it's also if you need to talk, if you want to talk about what you're going through, if you're feeling confused, you can connect through that 24-hour number.
Mm-hmm. So while we're talking about that, can you give us your contact information?
Absolutely.
Say the number, website.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so our 24-hour number, if anyone wants to get information or talk about services, you can call 404-688-9436. And that is the 24-hour number for the Women's Resource Center to End Domestic Violence, 404-688-9436. And there's also a national, I'm not a national, but there is a national, but there's a state hotline number too. So any place in Georgia, if you call the state number, you can say, I need domestic violence resources and information, and this is my location. They'll give you the resource agency, the service agency nearest you. And that's 1-800-33-HAVEN, HAVEN. So if you can remember the 1-800-33-HAVEN, that might be a number that you can share just discreetly with whomever if you know of someone that might need to talk about dealing with domestic violence. So yeah, I can give our web address too if you'd like.
Yes, please do. Yes.
Okay, it's www.wrcdv.org, and those letters are for Women's Resource Center Domestic Violence. www.wrcdv.org, and you can find us on Facebook and Instagram, and we have a presence if you want to connect and learn more, and just stay tuned about what's happening and how you might be able to lend a hand and that sort of thing.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Kim, for joining me today. This has been a blessing and a joy to speak with you and to actually learn. I've learned so much in just these 15 minutes that we've been speaking. So everyone, please just go to the website that Kim mentioned. If you're interested in volunteering, as I, that's how this whole thing kicked off, is that I was interested in volunteering with Kim, actually. I spoke with her. Or if you're interested in doing any further donations, I will be dropping off tomorrow the 70 bars of our vegan handcrafted soap that was collected during our 2 weeks of our buy one, give one soap drive that you all came out and supported so graciously. And I'm just extremely grateful for the support and the show of love that you all came out and give. So again, I'll be dropping those off tomorrow. I'm still working over here. I'll finish that up tonight, and I'll be dropping that off at the center, at the main center tomorrow, Kim. So
thank you so much.
Oh, sure. So everyone, again, just thank you, Kim, for coming on, and just continue to support the Women's Resource Center to End Domestic Violence, as well as BeUTee Bath and Body. And also 10% of our net profits at the end of the year go to support various domestic violence resource centers in the Metro Atlanta area. So Kim, we'll probably be doing some more, having some more conversations with you in the future with regards to that, as I, look for other places to support.
Thank you so much.
Oh, sure. All right, so everyone, that concludes our Lunch and Learn for today. I hope you all found this to be extremely informative and just a blessing. So have a beautiful day, and I will talk to you all later. Bye, Kim. Thank you.
Bye-bye.